Welcome to our smile gathering. We want to have several of these smile gatherings available for people to watch on their YouTube, on our YouTube channel, so that they become familiar with what a smile gathering is like and know that it is a valuable tool. It's a coaching opportunity there at the beginning with the S in smile for support, and it introduces you to new music that you can use to make life more fun as a mom. It includes inspirational things that help us keep on keeping on, even in the more challenging moments of motherhood. And it allows us to laugh together. Mallory is going to present laughter for us tonight. And then we get to kind of put in some conscientious effort into educating ourselves. And that's the E in smile, is to be able um, to realize that motherhood isn't just a side gig that we're expected to have um, instantaneous knowledge of how to move forward as a mother, but that it really does require some uh, studying. And so we include that educational element here at our smile gatherings. So we I have a set of slides that you'll become very familiar with um, as you join us in these smile gatherings, because they are the same basically from time to time, but we work through them on an individual basis. Like when you have a support question, bring it. And we are a safe place to work through and get your support that you need. Um, all right. So I would like to give every mom a smile. And I'm excited for you as you are watching this on YouTube to find a little more joy in motherhood and have hope for what's ahead as you experience this incredible role of raising children. And they're so adorable most of the time, but sometimes they're also exhausting. And so being able to focus on the joy of the journey is easier when you feel empowered. So that's really Momivate's main goal, is empowering you to elevate your mothering experiences. All right. So I have showing on your screen, I believe, the that first um, slide. And we're just going to take a quick minute to connect with each other. We do this in a physical way as well as mental. So everybody take a little minute to take a deep breath. You can spread your arms nice and wide. And even though we physically aren't together, imagine that we are, and that we're reaching out to give each other a nice hug. You can feel that we want to support one another as moms. We are a mom unity. We are looking to create a comfortable place with each other. And as we take these deep breaths and we're gathering in all the goodness that there is among us, and we're sharing it with each other, pulling it into our bodies and our hearts. Of course, when you take a deep breath in, you also have to let that deep breath out. That's one of the cycles of life, and it is applicable beyond our breathing of air. But there's give and there's take. There's these cycles. There's clutter coming into our lives and then releasing the clutter and letting it go. So that process of breathing is teaching us a lot. There's frustrations that might come in, and then there's being able to work through those and coming to a point of problem solutions. So as you breathe those things in, and picture all the good coming in, and then picture as you breathe out that you're letting goodness go out into the world, kind of like blowing out candles on a birthday cake and giving those wishes out to the world. Let's go ahead and physically stretch our neck. We're gonna look down, kind of like we're looking inward, and we're gonna just send positive energies to our own souls, reiterating to ourselves that we are worthy. It is worthwhile to be taking time to focus on our own growth and on the growth of the other mothers that we'll work with tonight. Let's go ahead and put our necks upwards. This is a physical movement, but it's reminding us of the higher powers that are out there. And some of us call those higher powers God or Heavenly Father. And we just want to include our God in our growth efforts. As we take another deep breath, let's look forward at one another and realize that we are each other's co-workers and that we want to work together to make motherhood more enjoyable, and to strengthen each other and share the things we're learning. One of my friends, Leah, if she ever watches this, hi Leah, she says that we need to reach up for help. We need to reach out to gather, and then we need to reach down to offer help to others and help them rise up. So thank you for doing that physical activity with me that's hopefully connecting us and centering us, helping us be ready to focus. The next thing that we like to do here at our smile gatherings is change our name. So that's what this next slide is about, is how to rename yourself here on the Zoom. And it's going to help you know more about the other people joining us at the smile gathering. So just take a quick minute, follow these instructions of how to include just your first name and the ages of your children, and then maybe a keyword about yourself. I like to include the word scrapbooking. I can't do this at the same time as you because it messes up the sharing of the screen. But I would have 8 numbers included after my name. I have 8 children from ages 20 down to 3. So this gives us a fun way to get to know each other a little bit just by changing the name on our screen. So thank you, Mallory, for setting the example as mothers watch this potentially on YouTube and want to know what it's like. You're helping them have the vision. All right, so like I mentioned before, the first letter in our SMILE acronym is for support. And as we move forward into this portion of our SMILE gathering, we just want to reiterate that this is a safe place. Momivate knows that there's a lot of emotions in motherhood, and being able to have a safe place to process those emotions and work through those issues is essential. So let these smile gatherings be your safe place, and we'll coach you through it the best that we can. We might not have all the answers, but we'll walk through the fire with you. We really believe that sometimes it's just a matter of being allowed to talk it through. And you personally might discover your own answers within yourself as you talk it through. And we have a little process called steering. STEER is another acronym because that's what we're famous for here at Momivate. So, Mallory, would you be interested in giving us an idea of what we could work through, a situation that we can kind of use as an example here to discover what we have power over and how that can help us be more comfortable in the things that we don't have exact control over.
Yeah, absolutely. With the holiday coming up, 4th of July, in just a short week and a half or so, I was thinking a lot about how you choose to spend your holiday. So like where you choose to celebrate, and that could be, with different sides of the family, whether that's like in-laws or extended family on a mom or a dad's side, or for me it's like which parent I choose to spend the day with, or do I split the holiday day in half to spend half the day with my mom, half the day with my dad. So I've been thinking a lot about like how you go about choosing that. And is it just an individual decision, or is it a decision to be made with everyone? Just how to tackle that.
Yeah, and I think that that is applicable in a lot of situations. Like you mentioned, this is the 4th of July coming up, and a lot of times those celebrations are just centered on the one day. But there are holidays that kind of extend over a period of time, like Christmas or Thanksgiving, and those situations, sometimes you can spread it out a little bit more easily, right? Like I
Right.
remember when my husband's grandparents were still alive. And so that extended family was really getting to be quite extended. And so they would use the Wednesday before and the Friday after to try to help juggle the different families and the gatherings for Thanksgiving in particular. And then there was, of course, Christmas time, and that seems to last like 6 weeks, doesn't it? Like Christmas is
Yeah.
a lot of gatherings, and able to make those arrangements from generation to generation, even, right? Like, okay, so we have this set of grandparents, or we have this set of in-laws, or and it gets a little more complex if there is a divorce in place that requires, even legal custody situations and taking turns of who has the kids for which year on which day, and trying to make the most of it. So
Right.
I think that is a really wise to be conscientious in advance and make those arrangements based on a variety of things. So yeah, let's go ahead and steer our thoughts with regard to that. Um, so, oops, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. But I am trying to figure out how to do the annotations. There it is. Let's see if I can do it in a good, better color this time. Okay, so the situation is arrangements for holidays. Does that show up a little better
Yeah.
than
That's
before?
great.
All right. Okay, so some of the thoughts. Now, thoughts and emotions are really intertwined with each other. So it's okay as you're discussing your thoughts or you're discussing your emotions that it might overlap. The funny thing is that emotions really seem to just kind of come up. They just bubble through us. They're there, and we need to be accepting of them, even if we think of them as negative emotions. And then we can use our thoughts, which are much more conscientious, and we have much more ability to change our thoughts. We can use our thoughts as the tool to process our emotions. So, not necessarily pushing away just because we recognize it as a negative emotion, but processing through it positively, so that eventually we're able to create more positive emotions conscientiously through our thoughts because they're that intertwined.
Mhm.
All right, so let's talk this through. What are some of your thoughts and emotions? As you mentioned, you are choosing sometimes between parents. And so there can be a lot of thoughts and emotions involved in that.
Yeah, what first comes to mind is who I want to involve, because I mean, ultimately it's up to me and I decide where I go. But, I want to take other people's plans and opinions into consideration. But the more people I involve, like if we're talking extended family versus extended family on either side of the family, then there's a whole lot of opinions. And
Yeah.
so, I tend to think that I'm at the helm of, planning everything out in the beginning and getting everything rolling. That way I have more control over what the ultimate decision is. But it always comes down to there's so many opinions and everybody wants you in a different place at a different time. And with me, my parents don't generally agree to work things out together. So I'm kind of the mediator in between, trying to please each side.
Yeah, that could be a rough situation where they
Yeah.
aren't willing to make accommodations accordingly. So that might bring up some difficult emotions.
Yeah.
and uh, and create a need for more uh, engagement. The engagement is like the actions that you take that have to be conscientiously controlled, right? So that you're not just lashing out in frustration and anger, but that you are empowered to say, well, this is the decision that I made, and thank you for your input. But I do need to move forward. And so here I go. And
Right.
and hopefully not causing a lot of negative emotions on their end, but realizing that you really don't have control over their emotions. You can be as gentle as you possibly can, and they can still take offense or
Right.
or feel angry. So being able to put that on their plate um, as compassionately as possible, but realizing that they have to make their own decisions with regards to their thoughts and emotions. So,
Right. Yeah.
and like you said, being able to gather those opinions and things. Now, sometimes as we're working through these things, it helps to look at the principles um, that guide our relationships. In this case, I would think of it as a relationships thing. Here at Momivate, we have another acronym called Raise Up. And each of these letters, so the R is for relationships, the S is for systems and schedules. And that might also be an area for us to look at as far as being able to just simply have a system in place. With my husband and me, we're starting to get to the point where we're realizing our kids are growing up, and that's going to start. We don't have any married kids yet, but they're going to be bringing in a whole nother family once they are married, and that there will be this kind of arrangements with regards to those in-laws. And so we've really thought, like, is there a way to make sure that at least every few years we get all of our 8 kids back home with their, so that they were not always running into, well, it's the in-law year. Oh, for that kid, now it's the in-law year over there. Oh no, we're not together. And trying to have a system or schedule in place even before they're married. Like, sorry, on the, every year that ends in 4, we gather or whatever it is. To try to be flexible to some extent with the in-law families, but also, um, so let's go ahead and take a minute to, oh, I'm still annotating, and that's not what I wanted to do. So let's see if I can stop annotating and go open our drive here to look at the principles for relationships. and see if that helps guide our thoughts a little bit. Oh, this is funny. The annotations are still showing up there. Okay, so we have to realize that relationships are based on how much time we invest. So if we get imbalanced and we spend more time with one side of the family than with the other, then that is going to have negative repercussions, so to speak. We just plain won't be able to build the same strength of relationship if we don't spend time with somebody. Given that, we might not want to spend that much time with somebody, particularly if they have kind of porcupine-ish tendencies, if they tend to bring toxicity into the relationship. That's a safeguard that we need to put up and realize we don't need that kind of negativity. And so we purposefully limit time in that sense. The behaviors that we bring, as well as those that we allow, the boundaries that we set with other people, being able to have a trusting relationship with those around us and how that might go into our decision making is how much we have faith in the people that we interact with. If there's situations that we're needing to grow, feeling respected and loved, needing to extend forgiveness or compassion, and then being willing to put effort into those relationships. So hearing some of those principles, does that affect the way you're thinking at all with regards to this, or how you might be planning to, what kinds of actions and engagement you'll have?
I like how you said putting effort into relationships, because I think it's, ultimately you don't want people's feelings to get hurt, like we mentioned. But I think that the other side, who you're not spending the holiday with, as long as they could see that you're not putting effort, or that you are putting effort into, making a schedule like every other year, or like you said, every year that ends in 4, they're all together, and that it's just not on a whim. Like, I'm really feeling like I want to spend it with so and so and not you, that
Yeah.
it's planned out, and this is just kind of how the cookie crumbles,
Yeah.
and it's not emotionally invested. It's just a schedule to make things fair and easy.
Yeah, that's great. So putting the intention into it, and like you said, potentially a schedule, not just on a whim, where that's where the emotional side of it might take over,
Right.
and cause negative emotions there.
Mhm.
So that's great. Now, a funny thing about this model with where we are steering things is that there's simply things inside our realm of control that we really do have complete control over. And then there are things outside of it where we can influence it, but we don't really know 100% what the results will be. You could go into it with all the compassion and the deliberate intention of making a schedule to try to avoid those negative feelings, and there still might be some rough feelings that need to be worked through, and that can be hard to accept, is that ultimately the results are still outside of our realm of complete control. But knowing that we've done our best to influence things can really help us kind of patch over whatever feels outside of our control, and still ultimately remain in that feeling of empowerment. So, we hope for the best, and then we realize that there's just things that we have to accept as part of life. So I wish you the best in your work.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
towards that. So we will clear those things and move forward to the next part of our meeting, which is M for music. And music, it can serve all kinds of purposes. We don't always realize how much an impact it's having. Sometimes we just flip on the radio. But if we start to be conscientiously aware, oh my goodness, the radio is playing this old love song from when I was in high school and now I'm remembering my old boyfriend or whatever, just becoming aware of how music really does shape a lot of, it can influence our moods, it can make us sleepy, it can, like there's all these various things. And if we are aware of that and conscientious with it, then we can use it as a tool in our mothering tool belts. So the music I would like to share today is by a funny person named Sandra Boynton. But most of us are probably familiar with her from greeting cards. Interestingly, her cute little characters started off, I think, being most famous on greeting cards. And then she took her various talents, artistic skills, and expanded it to music. So this is a song that she wrote about ducks. Now I have to stop sharing so that I can share the right screen and share it to include the sound. So let's see if I do that correctly. Okay, and I'm starting it a couple minutes into the video, but the point of the song is to teach an attitude about how to handle the busyness of life, is to calm down and be like a duck. So it starts out with this man kind of explaining how ducks live their lives and then inviting people to kind of take lessons from him about how to be like a duck. So here we go.
A duck, that's what I say. Be like a duck, be like a duck, be like a duck. Okay. A duck is so friendly, a duck is so bright. A duck is never ever just a face in the crowd. A duck is so clever, a duck is so free. Don't you wanna be just exactly like me? Be like a duck, be like a duck, be like a duck. You gotta walk the walk, you gotta talk the talk, and when you wanna fly, you gotta take to the sky and cruise. Be like a duck, yes indeed, be like a duck. No need for speed, be like a duck, like a duck, cool. Maybe you stroll, maybe you fly, or maybe just float. Let the river run by. When the rain starts falling, let it roll off your back. Open up your beak and go quack, quack, quack. Be like a duck.
So that's probably one of my favorite lines, is when the rain starts falling, let it roll off your back.
Just watch. Reagan's back.
Now,
Oh, no.
now I'm back and I'm unmuted.
There we go.
But I was just kind of giving my spiel about how, and I hope that you got to see this part of the song. But one of my favorite lines is, when the rain starts falling, let it roll off your back. Open up your beak and give a quack, quack, quack. So that's just metaphorical for life and how there will be, rain. And sometimes we view the rain as an annoyance, as a problem, but we could decide that rain actually is pretty pleasant in some ways, and that there are ways that it helps us grow, right? So there's that whole analogy of what are we viewing this as? Is it a storm that we're going to allow to be destructive, or are we going to roll with it and be able to count the blessings that come from it, that grow out of it? And so That's one reason I like that song, and I sing it to my kids when they're having a hard time making adjustments to some of the changes in life. Is I say, "Come on, just float and let the river roam by," or "Are you gonna stroll, or are you gonna fly, or how are you gonna handle your situations in life? Be like a duck." That's what I say. So. I highly recommend Sandra Boynton. She actually has lots of different songs and albums that she's created. She often includes kind of famous people to sing her songs for her, um, and so it's fun to hear. Like she has Weird Al Yankovic sing some of her songs, and Kevin Bacon sings some of her songs. So I really like her. For the inspirational portion of our meeting, I wanted to point out another service that we as Momivate offer. So we have here on our website what is called the Wall of Honor. This is a chance for us to celebrate moms all year round. We want to provide there's a biblical invitation to honor our parents, honor our fathers and our mothers. And so we do that here at Momivate by having this wall of honor. Now, this is not for perfect moms because there is no such thing. Our wall of honor would be empty if it was just for perfect moms. But this is for moms who we respect, we love, we admire. Um, we acknowledge that they're doing their best they can, and we want to give them a little pat on the back. So the wall of honor has some moms whose names are simply listed, and that's what the names in black are. And then it has other names that are in purple. And what that means is that they have a personalized page for them. This is my husband's grandmother. And so when we created this page for her, we included her obituary, basically kind of her life story there. And it has a little picture, but it also tells a lot about what was happening, um, and how she spent her life. I never knew her as um, a fluid person. She was always under the destructive forces of Alzheimer's when I knew her. So it was fun for me to go to her funeral and get to hear um, the stories about her and the ways that she had influenced the world around her, regardless of her, or before her Alzheimer's took over. And uh, one of the things that I like to share about her is that she founded a organization called Festival of Trees that helps Primary Children's Hospital. It's a major fundraiser for Primary Children's Hospital, and it gets everybody in the mood for Christmas. It happens the week after Thanksgiving, getting you ready for that Christmas spirit. And it delivers decorated Christmas trees to people. And it's just a lot of fun and Christmas spirit, but definitely a major giving attitude at the Festival of Trees. So please feel free to join our Wall of Honor. If you would like your name listed there, give yourself a pat on the back. Or if you know of another mother who would like to be on you would like to be on our Wall of Honor, feel free to submit their name, and we'll be very happy to add them to that list. Now I will give Mallory the opportunity to share her laughter with us.
Yes, let me share my screen. Okay, so I selected a parody from the YouTube channel called What's Up Moms. And I'm not even a mom, and I love this YouTube channel. I watched it for years because they offer like valuable advice and tips, anywhere from like playtime to food to personal time for moms. But they also do a lot of like funny skits and parodies that are just really entertaining, no matter if you're a mom or not. So this is one of those skits.
Sounds like we need to partner with them, huh?
They're pretty awesome, and they get millions of views, so that would be pretty neat. I won't let the whole thing play. I'll let maybe 2 minutes or so, but it's pretty good.
This season on The Babysitter.
My name is Brooke. I have 2 boys, and I'm so excited to be on this journey. It's crazy to think that one of these incredible girls is going to be babysitting my kids.
Oh, nice to meet you. I would love to be your babysitter.
Oh, thanks. I can really see myself hiring one of these girls when it's all over.
Pretty.
Do I have experience? No. But I have lots of nieces and nephews.
We are going to get along like peanut butter and jelly.
There's crust on this. Pack your bags. We're going to the park. I'm so excited to spend some one-on-one time with the girls.
Después también los llevo al museo, así para que aprendan de otras culturas.
I have no idea what Isabella's saying, but my kids are gonna be bilingual. I just didn't think I'd have a connection with this many of the girls.
So cute.
Hey, can I steal you for a sec?
Sure.
Thanks. Sorry. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make $15 an hour.
So, is there something?
What are they doing?
I think they're going over emergency contact info.
No.
Okay, I don't want to gossip, but there are some girls here who are not here for the right reasons.
Hey, ladies.
Excuse me, are you babysitting or going to the club?
Oh my God, it's a date card! There's nothing compact about my feelings for you.
On our group date, we went for a little test drive.
I've never driven a minivan before. Just take it nice and slow.
Woo! One of these girls is really starting to stand out. Are you loading the dishes?
Oh yeah, I already did the laundry. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. I think I'm falling for Cindy.
Okay, so obviously that's a parody on The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, and it's I just
love it.
so well produced, and it's so funny. But
Yeah, that's awesome.
kind of stuff.
I wanted to keep watching. I'll have to go back later and keep watching. That's awesome. Well, thank you for making us laugh that way. I will go ahead and take us into the educational portion of our meeting now by sharing my screen. Let's see. As we discussed the concept of steering our thoughts and trying to do it based on principles, we'll kind of continue down that realm. But let's look at the principles of our letter A in the word raise and talk a little bit about atmosphere and how we can positively impact our family's sensations of home. Now, I have a funny memory from being in college. I took a child psychology class, and interestingly, that professor pointed out, he was kind of teaching us from like the wrong angle of like what goes wrong sometimes. And he said that children sometimes join gangs because of the atmosphere at the like clubhouse or whatever, wherever the gangs kind of gather, that atmosphere is more positive than the atmosphere in those children's homes, and that is one of the reasons they will choose gang lifestyle over home. And that has stuck with me, that I want to create a home where my children want to be instead of them looking for somewhere else to be. So if we can conscientiously realize that we have a lot of control and influence over the atmosphere of our homes, then I think that we can create those places that our kids want to be. So our principles here include the fact that we are, the word homemaker is kind of outdated. We hear homemaker and we think of a lady wearing an apron and high heels and, waiting for her husband to come home from work. But we need to realize, even if we have outgrown that as a society and we're no longer wearing our aprons, that we are conscientiously creating our homes, and so we are still home makers. If we are particularly aware of the sensations with regards to the five senses, like what are our children hearing in our homes, like what kind of music or what kind of complaining, what kind of arguing. So that's like the sensation of hearing, but there's also the other sensations. What do they taste? What do they touch? Or who is touching them? And is it with respect? Are they getting enough hugs? Things like that. So then there's the ambiance, which is more abstract, right? The overall feeling and impression of what is the most consistent vibe there in our home. And then realizing that we can make our homes based on our individual personalities, that this isn't trying to create something out of a magazine that's trying to meet other people's expectations, but that we have our own personalities, we have our own preferences. We might want to be taking into account our children's preferences as well, or our husband's preferences, and kind of mold those all together so that we create homes where everybody wants to be. But it's okay that it's going to be different from somebody else's home. Realizing that this effort takes time is essential, that it's not going to happen out of nowhere, that without conscious effort, it just kind of dilapidates into nothingness. And that's true about the physical aspects of our homes, right? There's maintenance required. It needs to be repainted or recarpeted every once in a while. I just got done recarpeting my mom's room, and that required a lot of time and effort and energy. So being willing to set aside that time specifically and looking for ways that it needs it to be updated and upgraded. And then having reasonable expectations, realizing that little kids are going to make messes, and not letting ourselves get overwhelmed by the constant and consistent messes. I still have a 3-year-old, so we are still in that phase of life of needing to just kind of clean up the mess they made while we were cleaning up the last mess they made. And not getting too frustrated or overwhelmed. But in the same vein there, realizing that it's a group effort, right? That I need to be helping my 3-year-old figure out how to clean up her own messes over time, but always involving her, singing the cute little cleanup songs or whatever, creating a chore schedule for older kids who can be held accountable. Oh, look, the trash needs emptying, and that's your job this week. And when are you going to do it? So realizing that it's a group effort, not just something on our own plates. So those are our main principles with regards to the atmosphere of our home, and being able to apply those conscientiously is really powerful. So I want to take these last few minutes. Oh, we had Diana join us. Hi, Diana.
Hello. Sorry that it was beeping there for a little bit.
Well, I wasn't sure what the noise was. I just kept talking. But do you have any questions or input or anything you'd like to say about that little portion that you were part of? Being that about
Yeah, I have I just wanted to add that I definitely agree with you about the whole, creating your home so that your kids are going to want to be there. That's what my mom did actually when I was younger growing up. She did not like us being away from home. Because if we were under her roof, she knew what was going on and what we were doing. And so at my house, I mean, we had ping pong tables, air hockey tables, the basketball game that counted the score. I mean, all sorts of things that you could think of. And every morning the kids were all at our house, and every evening they were all at our house. And, that's kind of what she did. Was she wanted to create an atmosphere that we were going to be home, because she couldn't, it stressed her out too much if we weren't.
And overall, were you all pretty cooperative with that? Were you happy to be able to invite friends over and have that atmosphere in your own home?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
Yes. I mean, we were the cool house on the block. Everybody wanted to be there. I loved being home. It was awesome.
That's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
that's a thumbs up to your mom, a little pat on her back for creating that atmosphere.
Yes.
That's
It
awesome.
wasn't until she moved away from there, and then that's when I started spending time away from home, because she didn't have that atmosphere anymore. And so, yeah, it's kind of funny. I never really looked at it like that, but it's definitely true.
You didn't go join any gangs, so it must have worked, right?
Well, no, I didn't. No.
That's great. Well, I'm glad that you popped in here for the last few minutes of our meeting tonight. That was the educational part. As I was trying to, as Mallory and I got the meeting started, I was trying to help those who might be watching it later on YouTube to realize that we have those 5 elements of our Smile gatherings. And the first is support, where moms can bring specific questions or concerns and we can just talk it through. And then we've got music, where we introduce one another to different recording artists or ways that music is helping us as moms. And then we get inspired by other moms, and then we laugh together, and that's the L in Smile. And then we have that educational part where we kind of conscientiously think about what motherhood entails and how we can potentially progress in our mothering. And it gives us, I think, a really satisfying feeling to want to move forward and not just kind of stick with our little ruts, but kind of push ourselves along. And that's built in to our very natures to want to improve and progress. So that's great that you were able to.
But when you have the answer to, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, when you have the answer to, though, as far as the chores are concerned, to how to enforce those chore rules, let me know. No, try as I may. I feel like I'm always saying, take the garbage out, take the garbage out, take the garbage out, pick up your shoes, pick up your socks, hang up your backpacks.
Yep. And I do think that has to be something we accept as part of motherhood, is the repetitious nature of saying it over and over and over and over and over. And yet there are little tips and tricks, right? Like we can set up the whole privileges thing, like, oh, what's that? Your backpack's on the floor? Oh, as long as it's still there, then we aren't going to have screen time or whatever it is, you know. You can kind of try to set up those kinds of things. That requires its own efforts of consistency. So sometimes that's harder to the thing to avoid, though, I have found, is doing it for them. Even though that definitely seems easier in some cases, We have to avoid that temptation. But oh, fine, I'll just do it myself because I'm so tired of nagging you, you know. We have to let the trash get really gross and so that they see the need or whatever it is, you know. So
Yes.
yep, and allow them to be part of creating the atmosphere, and we can even conscientiously teach them that. We can say, hey, you know what? We don't really want a stinky household that's full of trash. So let's work hard together to make sure the trash is under control. And
Right.
so,
Yep.
all right. Well, let's go ahead and end our smile gathering, and we'll look forward to smiling together again next week. Thanks
All right.
for popping in.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.